Happy 8th day of Christmas, 8 maids a-milking. What better to talk about than smallpox? Our first non-bird. So smallpox is a virus that is very well known for, 1, being the first disease ever fully eradicated, and 2, being used as biological warfare. But we're talking about the first part. So smallpox has been it's considered to be fully eradicated. There are small samples kept in biological labs used for research and storage, if it's ever needed again, for the second thing that it's famous for. But it is considered to be fully eradicated. This was due to a very aggressive vaccination campaign that worked. The disease is fully eradicated due to these vaccines. Vaccinate your kids. But how does this relate to the 8th day of Christmas? So, all the way back in the 1700s, smallpox was a problem. We didn't know about viruses or bacteria or diseases or anything yet. We didn't even know what those were. So it was just, well, sometimes people got this illness and then they died. But there was also other types of poxes. There is chickenpox, but that's from a different thing. But there was cowpox, which had very similar symptoms, because cowpox and smallpox are in the same virus family. So cowpox is what is known as a zoonotic disease, meaning you get it from animals and it gets transferred over to humans. Specifically, cowpox is in, you guessed it, cows. However, weirdly enough, chickenpox is not in chickens, but that's a whole other thing. So, cowpox is transmitted by cows, so who got cowpox most often? Milkmaids. They interacted with the cows the most by milking them and dealing with the milk, and thus dealing with the infected cows. So they caught cowpox quite often. Fortunately, cowpox is generally a very mild disease. It has symptoms similar to smallpox and all that, but it is far, far less dangerous. But what's very interesting about this is that some scientists and doctors of the time, they noticed that milkmaids who were previously infected with cowpox either did not get smallpox or they got a much, much milder case of it and were way, way more likely to survive. So some symptoms of the cowpox include these kind of lesion, rash, pustule, scab things just on the skin. It's not very pleasant, but it's usually mild and will go away. Smallpox has similar expression of disease, but that's kind of the main symptom of cowpox. So one scientist, Edward Jenner, he decided to look into this a little bit more. He noticed hey, there might be a link between the milkmaids getting cowpox and then not getting smallpox. We should check that out. So he did. He took, okay, this is kind of gross, so trigger warning, but he took some of the stuff from inside the cowpox pustules and inoculated his own skin with it. So he took this infected pus, he inoculated himself with it, and then, yeah, he started to get some mild cowpox symptoms and was like, okay, great, now I have cowpox, this kind of sucks. Actually, no, I got that right. He did not inoculate himself, he inoculated an 8-year-old kid. Medical ethics. But regardless, this kid, when then later infected with smallpox, he didn't get any symptoms, so it demonstrated that this worked, and this was the very first form of a vaccine. Because smallpox and cowpox are both very, very similar viruses, they're in the same family, very closely related, the infection with cowpox provides your immune system with enough of an immune advantage to thus confer immunity to the much deadlier smallpox virus. With the cowpox infection, you build up the antibodies, build up the memory, all of the stuff involved with immunity, so when you later get infected with smallpox, then your immune system's like, hey, I know what this is, let's get rid of it. And that is the principle of how all vaccines work, even modern ones. Also, fun fact, that's also where the name vaccine comes from. The Latin word for cow is vacca, so vaccine comes from cow, which cowpox. And there you go, that is how the very first vaccinations were developed, using milkmaids infected with cowpox. We now have our 8 smallpox vaccinations, 7 species of swans, 6 cobra chickens, 5 golden animals, 4 screaming birds, 3 wonder chickens, 2 population declining turtle doves, and a partridge not in a pear tree.